Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. This is Michele Ambergy, and I am so happy to be here with you guys. I'm looking for the chat. I used to do shows on YouTube and everything for a very long time, and I haven't done it in a while. And so I'm really excited to be here, to be back working with you guys. We are streaming to YouTube. We're also streaming into my special Facebook group that is called Neuro Bliss, Resolving Stress and Anxiety. So we're going to be talking about, yay, Spirit Song is here. Hello, honey. We're going to be talking about stress and anxiety. We're going to be talking about some of the symptoms and really kind of what it's about. I do have a program that's called Neuro Bliss that I work with people. It's a 3-month program. We look at all of this stuff, and I give all different kinds of modalities and stuff to help heal these things. Most of us are under so much stress anymore that it's crazy. The world is stressful. We're stressed out. We're all trying to survive. There's so much pressure. We're getting so much energy from TV and ads and stores, and just everything is just on us all the time. And we need to learn to pull back. We need to recognize what's going on with us. We need to recognize what our triggers are. We need to begin to do some self-reflection and be aware of what's going on so that we don't keep moving towards more and more and more stress. Because when you get stressed and you don't deal with it, it begins to lead into physical ailments. It begins to lead into mental and emotional imbalance. Think depression, right? And so we want to look at it. We want to deal with it. We want to take care of ourselves. And that's why I'm doing this with you guys. I have found through my own experiences and through dealing with so much stress and so much anxiety and years and years of situations that I didn't take care of myself, that I was always taking care of everybody else. I was always being a good girl. Don't rock the boat, don't upset anybody. Well, those are actually trauma responses. Those are actually symptoms of people who have been traumatized, trying to make sure everybody's okay, because if everybody else is okay, I'll be okay. And we need to stop those things and really start doing what makes us okay from within and beginning to strengthen ourselves from within. So one of the things that I want to do is I want to start by reading you guys a list of trauma symptoms and different things that happen, because a lot of people are having these experiences and they think there's something wrong with them, and there isn't. I know I went through a lot of my life just thinking there was something wrong with me. Another thing is I work with, especially with intuitive and sensitive women, to help them resolve their stress and anxiety, to open up their intuition so we begin to work from that deep inner space. I work with men too, but it seems like women come mostly to me. You men are welcome as well. But let's take a look at this and let me see if I can do this. I think I can do this from my space here. So if I pop off of this, I'm just back on Restream and it changed. So let me pop this open. And I want to read to you this list of, and I call it trauma symptoms, okay? So these are symptoms of trauma. Now, it doesn't mean if you have these that they were absolutely from trauma, because there are other things, that come into play and other reasons for these things. But if you have these things, looking at trauma is an important thing to take a look at as well. So right out of the gate is digestive issues, IBS, that kind of stuff, and having digestive issues. When you don't feel good or something is wrong, or if your intuition is like kind of jangled up, like something is wrong, you get that gut feeling. Well, it affects the digestion. Sleep issues, including nightmares, night terrors, interrupted sleep can be trauma. Anxiety. We're going to talk about anxiety. Anxiety is a really big big thing. Depression. And depression could be a very low level thing. It doesn't mean you can't get out of bed. You know, we see things about depression and think it's like, oh, I'm so depressed, I can't function. Depression can be a very low grade depression where you are able to get up and able to function, but just never feel alive, you know, or just never feel like excited. A lot of times people have kind of a low grade depression. They'll go places, but they never just seem to be okay anywhere they are. And that's a lot of times when we start thinking there's something wrong with me. And really what it is it's something that can be treated, not necessarily with pills and stuff, but with some self-awareness, with some love, with some learning how to connect to your own inner wisdom, your own inner direction, and what I call, you know, your connection to the inner divine too, you know, a higher self. Feeling overwhelmed, feeling like you just like, I just can't do it, I cannot face the day. I spent years waking up feeling like, oh God, I can't get out, I can't get out of this bed, I can't. And it wasn't depression. I was overwhelmed. And that's a really common symptom of trauma. And a lot of times long-term trauma. Obsessive compulsive behaviors or obsessive behaviors, right? Can't let things go. I got to get this resolved. I can't stop thinking about this racing mind, that kind of stuff. Addictions, any kind of addictions, whether they're drugs and alcohol, gambling, sex, but little addictions too, like um, I have to have my ice cream at night or I can't function. You know, there's little addictions, there's big addictions. Anything that you can't live without is an addiction. Um, Fears and phobias. We all have just weird fears and phobias, little strange things. I never was afraid of spiders when I was younger, but after I had gone through a narcissistic relationship, all of a sudden I started developing all these fears and phobias. One of them was of black widow spiders, which is a reasonable fear, but I used to fear them when they weren't even around. I used to dream about them coming around me. And so there were some psychic intuitive reasons for that, but it was also just things that started popping up, and it was from that trauma. And we are going to talk about narcissistic abuse in this YouTube section that I'm creating, and also in the Facebook group that I'm streaming this into too, because there's a lot of people that have gone through narcissistic abuse, and it is deep and it is destructive, and there's a lot of it. It's like all this stuff is coming out now, and people are starting to realize it. And I have training in all of that too. So we're gonna talk about that. Eating disorders, overeating, undereating, obsessive eating, um, anorexia, bulimia, um, binge eating. There's a lot of different, only eating certain things. There's a lot of different things with with eating disorders. Also, unexplained weight loss or weight gain. A lot of times when you've had trauma, you've got cortisol all imbalanced in the body, and it will cause you to gain weight no matter what you're doing. And I had that happen with me too. Extreme sensitivity, feeling other people really, you know, sensitive to other people's moods and their emotions and feeling like on hyper alert. Also along with that is crying, like just like crying, like needing to cry. Um, I know I had one of my clients that she would be in the grocery store and all of a sudden she would just need to cry. Some of that is being an empath and feeling the residual energies or energies of people around you. But a lot of times it's trauma is what triggers that kind of response, and we can treat that too. Something else that happens is shaking, body shaking and tremors. That's a really common one that they're just starting to acknowledge with some really extreme narcissistic abuse or physical abuse. Is just shaking, the body shaking. ADD and ADHD can be related to trauma. Autoimmune issues, because it breaks down the body. There's so much emotional abuse that it begins to break down the body, and it actually begins to damage the brain when it's very, very severe. So autoimmune issues, chronic pain, chronic fatigue, chronic exhaustion, um, inability to focus, that foggy brain, you just can't think straight. Um, Passive aggressive behavior. Oh yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, no problem. I'm not doing that. That kind of stuff. That is a lot of times, and a lot of times you just think people are being jerks, and sometimes it's a trauma response, and a lot of times that passive aggressive thing is trying to subconsciously maintain control of something. A lot of times people that have a lot of trauma, they feel an obsessive need to control something for them to feel safe. Procrastination. How many people procrastinate? That's another thing that happens a lot. It's almost like a fear of being imperfect, a fear of not doing it right. Some people feel that adrenaline rush when you wait to the last minute and have to get stuff done. So you can actually get addicted to adrenaline, which is related to the cortisol and all that kind of stuff too. Emotional outbursts, just in general, crying, laughing, screaming, creating chaos and mayhem everywhere you go. They're called trauma triggers. And full blown PTSD, we know PTSD is post traumatic stress disorder, right? Low motivation. I just don't feel like doing anything. That doesn't fall under depression, but it's just like, blah. Feeling disconnected. Some people begin to dissociate to where they just don't connect to anything. They just feel free floating, ungrounded. And there's a lot of very quick little exercises that you can do to begin to reconnect. But when you reconnect, you want to feel safe, and you want to feel safe within yourself. Because here's one of the things: a lot of people don't feel like they can trust anything or anyone. And in reality, you kind of can't. But when you learn to trust yourself and learn to trust yourself to make good decisions and have good thinking and know your values and know your boundaries, learn how to set boundaries, which is what I teach people to do in my Neuro Bliss programs, you then begin to feel like you can trust because you're the one in charge now. So often we put trust in other people outside of us. We can't control that, but we can control ourselves, and we can make sure that we're working on all cylinders, and we can make good decisions. And that's employing our intuition and our empathic skills. They're superpowers, they're navigational skills. And so we learn that with it too. So a lot of times people just begin to withdraw from life. They begin to isolate, and that's a trauma response. And suicidal thoughts, and even suicide attempts, and or that a lot of time is trauma. We find it's connected trauma all the time. So here's some of the emotional struggles that people with trauma have. One of them is loneliness. You just feel so alone. Feeling like something is wrong with you. Something's wrong with me. Panic attacks, the anxiety, right? Self-deprecation, putting yourself down all the time. I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, I'm so dumb. I'm so ugly. I'm so stupid. I'm too fat. I'm too skinny. I'm not good enough, unworthy. It's all part of it. Self-harm. And there's different ways you can do self-harm. It doesn't mean, we think of that sometimes as cutting or stuff like that, but sometimes it's not taking care of yourself. It's not eating properly. It's not, you stop doing good hygiene, brushing your teeth. There's little things that we can do to harm ourselves that over time causes harm physically, mentally, and emotionally. So self-harm is one of them. Inability to perform your job. I know a lot of people that have a lot of trauma, they can't hold a job because they just can't do it for a myriad of reasons. Procrastination, passive aggressive, all of this all goes in together. Some of the emotional struggles from trauma is also shame and guilt. Those are very, very deep emotional damage that is done to people, whether their trauma is like physical abuse, mental, emotional, neglect, narcissistic abuse. Shame and guilt are big. Oh, excuse me. And so we deal with all of that too. Inability to trust. We just talked about that. Never feeling safe. Sometimes people with deep trauma issues, they feel like they have to be overly responsible. They have to make sure everybody's okay, everything's okay. They give so much of themselves out there that there's no place for them to receive. And so we have to get that boundary back. Poor boundaries. can't let go of things, obsessive thinking, feeling resentful, feeling jealous, being irresponsible, being manipulative. Because we have to remember, especially with narcissistic abuse, people that are narcissists because they've been severely traumatized. It's that statement, hurt people, right? So being manipulating, being cruel, catastrophizing, everything's a disaster, right? Those people that come in and create chaos wherever they are, trauma response. Black and white thinking, all or nothing. You never do this. They never do this. That's trauma response. Difficulty making decisions. Don't want to be wrong. Don't want to make a mistake. Inability to feel compassion for others. Do you feel that a lot is that's a lot of the patterns of people with narcissism is they don't feel empathy for others. And that is a trauma response, feeling numb, just not feeling anything. And very quickly, just some physical symptoms of trauma: tremors and shaking, confusion, pain, physical pain, um, rocking back and forth. Some people rock. This is something that I do, is I find myself rocking back and forth when I'm upset. Sleeping in a fetal position or curling up in fetal position. It doesn't mean all the time, but it can be. Being catatonic, just completely dissociating, just staring off and not be able to get their attention. A stiff body can be part of it, just like rigid, holding head like this, sometimes with rocking. You'll see a lot of times when people have gone through recent trauma that they will do that. Or if we get upset about something or if something happens, a lot of times it's very natural for us to grab our head and be like, oh my God, what happened? What just happened? And part of that is we're actually trying to soothe the vagus nerve and soothe the nervous system. Rapid heartbeat, excessive crying, being jumpy. Oh my God, that kind of stuff. Being tense, can't relax, just can't relax. Stomach pain, digestive issues again. Another one a lot of people have are repetitive hand movements. So they'll shake their hands. Um, their hands will shake like this. They'll have finger movements. Like I do this when I get upset. I like move my hands really weird or flap my hands. And that's actually trying to move the adrenaline and the chemical rush that happens from trauma. And when your trauma are triggered, that those kind of behaviors will happen again. Foggy brain, loss of memories, not remembering your childhood, headaches, migraines, chronic unexplained illness and pain. So that's just a small list of a lot of the things that can be happening as you are discovering that there is trauma that is unresolved and that needs to be addressed within you. And I have the Facebook group. This is being um, streamed into the Facebook group. In the YouTube thing, I have a link to that Facebook group, and I'll put a list of that I just read to you in there so you can take a look at it, because it's really helpful to know that just because you're having these struggles, there isn't something wrong with you. You have been through something that completely overwhelmed you, and that's what trauma is. Trauma is an experience that completely overwhelms you, stops you in your tracks, overtakes the mind in a way to where you're just stuck. And trauma, you guys have heard about fight or flight, right? When you have a severe fear, a severe experience, you either want to naturally fight it, I'm going to fight back, or run away, right? There's also freeze. When you freeze, not only do you stop, you don't run, you don't fight, but you freeze in it, and it literally freezes that trauma into your nervous system, into your neurological system. And that, when we freeze into it and we don't fight off or run off all the chemical cascade that happens, that's a lot of times when it really gets embedded in the nervous system. And that's why the fight or flight is actually a healthier response, but most of us freeze because we live in a culture where you can't necessarily fight and you can't necessarily run away, because we have things that happen in the boardroom, in the workplace, um, in school. We have a lot of traumas that happen to where we don't have that fight or flight um, option, or it's kind of looked down on from the community, right? So we have to remember that a lot of us have been in that freeze and it's come into our body. Another thing to think of is you can be traumatized by things other than what you yourself experience. You can get traumatized by watching violent movies, listening to violent music. You can get traumatized by witnessing something outside of you happening to someone else, or even hearing about something happen to someone else, something happening to someone else. There's a lot of different ways we can get traumatized and a lot of different levels of trauma too. Like some people don't get traumatized by the same things that someone else does. Some people get really traumatized by things where other people be like, oh yeah, wow, that was really upsetting, but not really take on the trauma responses that happens. So we have to remember that everybody is unique and individual. And in doing this and coming to understanding with this, beginning to heal it, you want to don't compare yourself to anybody else, right? You want to not compare yourself to anybody else, how they experienced it. It's time to start taking care of you. It's time for you to honor your response and decide to be willing to make some changes, to be willing to do something different, and to take some steps to do that. And one of the things that you can do is I'm going to be doing these videos now every single week here on YouTube, also over in the Facebook group. Go get in the Facebook group because I post stuff there that's helpful as well. I'm going to be doing this and supporting you. And bringing all different kinds of information. I just brought you a big truckload of information for you to hear about and to think about. And if you go over to the Facebook group, I'll have that list and you can revisit it as well. Okay. And so, yeah, so Spirit Song is saying CPTSD too, right? That's another thing that's in there, and that's complicated PTSD, which means that there's a lot of different aspects of it. And trauma is complicated. It is complicated. It just is. And that's why we need to start untangling it. And so it's not something that you can just get over, in a session with a therapist. Talk therapy, it can take years and years and years to get over that. And with the therapy that I do, I've got a 3-month program that will get you well on your way. And then I have some follow-up things and things that you can do that will help with that as well. So I hope that this can be an introduction for you guys, for you to guys kind of start thinking about how you're feeling and what is going on and how you can go about start taking some steps to get better. And part of it is just acknowledging you've been through something that was really gnarly. And the next step is that you deserve to feel well and that you're not stuck in it. There are things that can be done. There is a way out. And I have one path out. I've been through it. And in going through it, I've had to learn to heal from it, and learning to heal from it, I've done all the studying, I've taken the classes, I've done all the stuff, and I can help you. And I'm here to help you. And I do this because I really care. I really care. And Spirit Song here has been with me for a long time. And we've worked with her and loved her. And she's just been so wonderful. And she's another just special being, and have gone through stuff. And many of you have too. If you're drawn here, if you're feeling like you're being, pulled to watch this video or join us over there on Facebook, it's because you have too. Sometimes we don't even realize. And there's a lot of things that we can do. And one of them, I'm going to give you a cool little thing. I told you we would talk about anxiety. Anxiety is a weird thing. It shows up in a lot of different ways. The emotional responses that we went over on the list are part of the way anxiety can show up. Sometimes it's not that whole panic attack. Oh my God, the world's going to end. Sometimes it's simply a feeling of, ooh, something's wrong. What's going on? It can be a drifting off and not knowing what to do. It can be the foggy brain, the not being able to sleep. All of that's associated with anxiety too. But here's a cool little thing. If you ever feel like that you're having anxiety, oftentimes it kind of appears out of nowhere, but it's not appearing out of nowhere. It is actually, oh, I said my thingy here got stuck. It's actually what's happening is your brain has been thinking about something, hit something in the subconscious mind that triggered that response. A lot of times it's a memory, it's something that triggers a memory, and so you will have a response like that. So what you want to do, if you start feeling that anxiety, you start feeling that, ooh, what's going on, or all of a sudden you can't think or you can't focus, is you do this cool little thing. I call it the counting technique. And what you do is you start counting and you count up to five. Kind of count slow. One, two, three, four, five. And then you start calling out random numbers. It's best if you do it out loud if you can. So this is what it'll look like. One, two, three, 4, 5, 57, 92, 83, 14, 111, 352, 983, 222, 44. And you'll start calling out those random numbers until you feel the energy kind of starting to settle. And then you do it a little bit more and you'll feel everything settle down. What it does is it takes the mind off of kind of holding onto what that trigger was and kind of distracts the mind into something else so the body can calm down, so the nervous system can calm down. All of this trauma is embedded in the nervous system, and the nervous system runs from the top of your head to the tip of your toes to the tip of your fingers. Everything is wrapped up with the nervous system. And so your physical body responds. We have to learn some tools to get the physical body to get out of the sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight nervous system, and back into the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and digest. It's the, ooh, okay, I'm okay. And there's some tools, there's some really quick little things that you can do to do that. So I'm going to be teaching you guys those things. We're going to be talking about all of this. I'll be here every week and going to start helping you. I welcome questions. I welcome you contacting me. Um, Great place to do that is over on the Facebook group because I'm going to be in there and working with you guys. And I really would love to see anybody over there that is struggling with this because it's tough. And, the world is getting more and more complicated. And we kind of need to stick together and love on each other too. It's nice when you have a group and you realize, wow, I'm not all screwed up. Being traumatized is the norm. So I love you guys. I'm super, super excited to meet any of you that run across this and find themselves drawn to this. I really am here. This is what I do. I have found that what I have been through, I found purpose in my trauma, in my pain. The purpose and gave meaning to it was to be able to help others and led me into doing this. And I again work with intuitives and sensitives because we tend to get these kind of experiences. They anchor into our nervous system a lot differently than most people, but it's all the same thing. It's all the same walk, and we can walk it together. So I'm super happy that you're here watching. Spirit Song, thank you for coming by. Come on over to the Facebook group. Follow me here so you know when I'm on. I'm going to try to be coming on regularly every week so that we can meet together. You have the place to plug in and find out that you're awesome and you're amazing and you deserve to be here. And everything that you've been through has a meaning and a purpose to make you a better person, to be able to love yourself and hold yourself in high esteem because you are precious. And that's one of the things I'm going to help you find within you. So, mwah, I love you. Everybody be good. We will see you next week. See you over in the Facebook group. Come over and play. And until I see you again, stay sparkly.